Black people, we've got to fight. Jean Petro, you see us. Oguo, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Zumbi, you see us. Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Yes, Santewa, you see us. Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Bookman, you see us. Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh,
we have to have the courage to construct our own reality. And that's what Garvey was talking about. Because he said he looked around, he didn't see what he thought should be there, and so what did he do? He didn't get depressed about it. He didn't get defeated about it. He said, I'm going to build the government that we need to have. Ooh, where do you get that kind of boldness from? So we got to go all the way back to Garvey, who said he would come again. He said he would be here with us, no matter how long it took. And I'm telling you that the way he comes back is in our work. Not honoring him in words, pomp and all of that stuff, but honoring him through doing what he did. How many of us have the courage to do that? The man took on the world for us and in our name. And then we come to Sodai. And in this presentation of the paradigm, I'm going to make this like what it is we want to reach. So Sodai is translated clear word in Dogana language. And I use it to mean that here we gain understanding. This is sight with understanding. And it is seeing beyond what just we think we see with this physical thing. It's seeing beyond that. And so we gain vision, because that's what vision is. With vision, you've got to be able to use the imagination informed by the African spirit. And Brother Amos, who I work very closely with, was a good friend of mine. He taught me, and he would talk about imagination. Image a nation. Do you see? But that's got to be part of vision. To be a visionary, you got to see beyond this box here. You got to see beyond the ma'afa. You got to see what is it that our people rightfully should have, and that's what Garvey did. Garvey had a vision.
New era, new transition. Greetings, this is Shakara, and it's been an honor serving you as director of gotkushTV. Over the past few years, we've brought you the pilot of the Black Root Economic Show, many seasons of Wordsmith, The Insight, and the ever popular Decipher. We have covered community events and even hosted a few of our own, including Blacktricity as a part of the official Ghana Beyond the Return roster. We also kept you company throughout lockdown with the Quarantine Convo. After a brief hiatus, we came back with our regular weekly interactive live show, Zivanai, keeping you up to date with current events around the black world, from UK to Senegal to Haiti and beyond. It is our aim to continue to develop as a premier black media institution, and for that reason, we have a special announcement. Introducing Kimbunga Media. Between the 10th of June and the 17th of Mosiah, August, we will be transitioning to a new name and institution, Kimbunga Media. In the beautiful Kiswahili language, Kimbunga means whirlwind.
Look for me in a whirlwind or a storm. Look for me all around you. For with God's grace, I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life.
Our name symbolizes our aim to take the media landscape by storm, developing high quality, impactful, geopolitical and cultural content aimed at empowering African people, bringing knowledge, information, inspiration and analysis from an unapologetically Pan-African, universal African nationalist and African-centered perspective. So, what can you expect? We are gradually developing a full spectrum of flagship shows and presenters, but in the immediate right here now, over the next couple of years, we have two major aims in bringing you our flagship shows. One, the return of Kush Communiversity, bringing you high-level scholarship in all areas of people activity, featuring luminaries from across the black world. And two, the production of the full first season of the new and improved Ujamaa Black Group Economic Show. While we encourage you to develop and support black businesses, this show aims to raise our awareness of the political economy of today's world and popularize new solution paradigms in political economy among African people. Alongside all this, we will continue to bring you Zivanai, Jaliba, the Afrocentric perspective, All Eyes on Africa, Ghana, Democracy Under Fire, the Revolutionary Minds team with that artistic, ancestral energy, and as things grow and develop, there'll be plenty more. We also have plans to host live events and film screenings, so stay tuned for more information on that. So what can you do? Continue to support us by watching, liking, sharing and commenting on our content. Be sure to follow us on all social media, and if you are so moved, join our Patreon community. We'll be sharing flagship shows exclusively with our Patreon community before general release and granting you discounts to events and future screenings. Right now, if you become a Patreon, you will have access to the pilot for the Black Group Economic Show and all installments of last year's Black History Month series, Sankofa, The Future of Black History. At some point, we'll be engaging in community crowdfunding towards the production of the new and improved Ujamaa Black Group Economic Show, complete with offerings and perks for those who choose to invest in us. Look out for the launch, and we thank you in advance for your support. Any questions, feel free to hit us up in the comment section and we'll be sure to address. We look forward to you joining us for this new phase of our development. Stay tuned as we bring you Kimbunga Media. Tendai Mwadi, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Muzimu Mukuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Greetings, brothers and sisters, and welcome to this another edition of Zivanai, a beautiful word spoken in the Shona language of Zimbabwe. It simply means let us get to know, reason, get to know each other, brothers and sisters. It's a word that emphasizes, social vibration, intercourse, interaction, and all of these things. Forgive me, whilst I just, sort out my camera little piece, because we have to make sure everything good in the brothers and sisters, So yeah, we're live. Una can't hear me. Let me know say una can't hear me. All right, give thanks to him what up in the building, make him know say, everything blessed, what I mean? So I'm good looking and velvet of voice, and all these things, brothers and sisters. So we are in the building. Make we talk. We encourage you to like the video as you come through. Yes, indeed, like the video as you come through. Share the video, share the link far and wide. Make the people know that Shakara is live on today, this Tuesday or Jimma Day, the 16th of July, brothers and sisters, and we are going to have a beautiful conversation. I'm going to share the link from early out. I have a few things to talk about still, but we're going to share a link from early out, because I don't have like a one topic today. We're gonna have a few different topics over the next couple of days, which I'll get to shortly. So let's stay tuned, because I'm gonna give you some information. But we're gonna keep the conversation loose today, because over the next couple of days we're gonna have some heavy conversation, and not to say that the conversation, the subjects that are on my mind right about now are necessarily light. But we're not on one topic today, so anybody can come through. Raise any topic, ask me anything you want. I've even been considering, whether to host a part 2 discussion, on the Garvey and Garveyism thing. You know what I'm saying? So we can open the platform again for people to ask questions and make comment and raise their challenges. But we still think about that one day. So we will see if that does take place, brothers and sisters. Yeah, but we're there. So we give thanks for being there. And as we have been doing, we're making wagwan in relation to the relief for our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean who had to face Hurricane Beryl, as the checkpoints as far as Grenada is concerned. Grenada, Petit Martinique, and Carriacou are still receiving your donations, brothers and sisters. Yeah, so urgent relief needed for Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. And so drop-off point number 1 is Mo Better Cuts, 316A Labrador Grove, London, NW10 5NQ. We also want to let you know about South London drop-off point, 300 Old Brompton Road, London, SW5 9LB, brothers and sisters. And I'm going to let you know about a couple more. I want to give you some generic details as well. So in relation to Jamaica and Barbados, drop-off point St. Lawrence Church, 37 Bromley Road, London, SE6 2TS. And you can please ring the buzzer at the St. Lawrence office between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Outside of these hours, leave at the back of the church next to the door of the choir vestry. And if you want to contact those who are responsible for this, you can contact Chantel on 07931 114 117. That's 07931 114 117. Gonna read out the UK transactions details once again. So you may not have goods, you may not have water or sanitary towels or whatever. You may just want to send some money. And so for brothers and sisters in the UK who would like to do that, specifically in relation to Grenada, you can check out the bank, Lloyds TSB, UK International Services, London. It's Swift account as well, and that will be LOYD, that's Lloyd, GB2L, sort code 309634. Account number 01017544, brothers and sisters. Yeah. And so do check out all of those details. I've come across a few events as well, raising money. So we want to give thanks to all brothers and sisters who are involved in those events, and assisting our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. We want to send our love to all those who are trying, to put their lives back together in the wake of the hurricane. Condolences to all the families once again who have lost loved ones as a result of the hurricane, brothers and sisters. And it's why of these things. And then as I said last week, we have to talk about significantly the geopolitics of natural disaster. Because really and truly, the fact that these natural disasters affect us so much is not a consequence of simply the strength of the hurricane or the earthquake or the whatever. To a significant degree, and possibly the more significant factor, are the geopolitical and economic realities under which we exist as majority Black nations across the planet, and the extent to which we are under-resourced in dealing with and managing natural disasters when they occur. And so the impact of a natural disaster on African people, 9 times out of 10, is actually more social, more political, more economic than it is natural. Yeah. And that's a conversation that we need to have, because it's easy to lose that in the midst of a disaster in which people are rightfully preoccupied with immediate relief. Yeah. But the extent of that relief that we need in the immediate sense is a consequence of our geopolitical reality. And so we have to remind ourselves of that always. I will now beg no friend for saying thing there. We want to continue to support our brothers and sisters, and so we'll be keeping that information and going over the next few weeks. Moving on, we do want to let you know what's happening here at gotkushTV, soon to be known as Kimbunga Media, for the next couple of days, brothers and sisters. And so tomorrow, we are going live to Kenya once again. We're going to be joined by our brother William Sakawa of African Stream, brothers and sisters. William Sakawa is of African Stream. If you don't know, get to know. Subscribe to African Stream if you are not subscribed to African Stream. Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters. Our brother William Sakawa will be joining us live from Kenya tomorrow to go into even deeper detail about what is happening on the ground in Kenya as regards the uprisings of our brothers and sisters there currently right now. Special shout out to our brother Achola Otieno, president of the UNIA ACL RC 2020 in Kenya, in Nairobi specifically, who joined us last week. And if you have not seen that particular show, we encourage you to go watch that, especially before tomorrow. But our brother William Sakawa will be joining us tomorrow, and trust me, if you're not familiar with our brother, you won't forget for Noah and tune in, because he's most adept at keeping us informed about Wagwan, brothers and sisters. And finally, as far as what is happening on gotkushTV, soon to be known as Kimbunga Media, over the next couple of days, as we announced before, brothers and sisters, last week we had to postpone our session featuring Elder Cecil Gutsmore. And hold on, because I'm missing something around here, so I'm gonna have to retrieve something when we need right here now, because we don't want each part of the thing, what I mean, we want to make sure everything easy, copacetic, and all of these things, brothers and sisters. So we have to make sure you have the right information. All right. And so we had to postpone our session last week, but thankfully, our elder will be joining us this coming Thursday, near day, the 18th of July, from 7 p.m. BST. 7 p.m. BST, brothers and sisters, which corresponds to 2 p.m. EST. And having said the time, I think I've neglected to mention that our brother William Sakawa will also be joining us from the hour of 7 p.m. UK time, which corresponds to the hour of 2 p.m. EST. So for the next 2 days, we will be live from 7 p.m. BST and 2 p.m. EST, brothers and sisters. And you will have your opportunity to interact with both our guests, brother William Sakawa on tomorrow, Wednesday, and the Elder Cecil Gutsmore on Thursday, the 18th of July, in which he will be addressing the subject, is revolutionary Pan-Africanism the practice for African liberation now? Is revolutionary Pan-Africanism the practice for African liberation now? Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters. Yeah, if for those who are avid viewers of gotkushTV, soon to be known as Kimbunga Media, you will know that anytime Elder Cecil comes through, it's very, very serious business. Yeah, it's very, very serious business. So you don't know all the thing got already. Me say you don't know all the thing got already, brothers and sisters. And so we encourage you to come through. I'm going to have some good questions for my elder sisters as well. So we look forward to you joining us then. Also want to let you know about the Mosiah opening ceremony coming to you, brothers and sisters, on the 4th of Mosiah, or Mojale, Sunday, the 4th of Mosiah. This is the official opening to the month of Mosiah, and its ceremonial takes place as a part of Al Kebalan's Shumida, which is our African spiritual worship every first Sunday of the month. I have the honor and pleasure of delivering the message for this particular Shumida, and the message is entitled Kimbunga, Look for Me in the Whirlwind. Kimbunga, Look for Me in the Whirlwind. Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters. Yeah, we look forward to you joining us for the Mosiah opening ceremony. I don't know how many people watching and viewing have experienced a Mosiah opening ceremony before, but it is a very powerful occasion, like I said, during which we officially open the month of Mosiah. Special libation, narrative of the life of Papa Garvey and many leading lights of the UNIA. We honor them in ritual form. There are special readings, to connect us with the vision of the UNIA ACL, its philosophy and its mission. And we go in, brothers and sisters, we go in. And so we look forward to you joining us for that particular occasion. I'm trying to find something that I've also misplaced, brothers and sisters. I may have to just leave it, but so it got some time. When you try to work out things, you'll see it. We'll come back to it, brothers and sisters. We'll come back to it. As it stands right now, we're not seeing it. You know what I mean? So we will definitely come back to it. That said, we also want to inform you about another event taking place during the month of Mosiah, and that is the Drums of Mosiah. Yes, indeed, the Drums of Mosiah. We are going to be taking over Brixton for a few hours from 5 p.m. on the birthday of the Prophet, on the 17th of Mosiah, August. From 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., brothers and sisters, Windrush Square, London, SW21JQ. We're going to be outside and just beat some drum. You know what I'm saying? Bring your percussion, bring your dancing foot, bring your singing voice. So also beat some drum and some ices in honor of the most honorable Marcus Garvey, and all our ancestors in general, brothers and sisters. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Bigging up all those who are joining us in the chat. I'm going to acknowledge you in a second. Bear with me. And then we're going to get into the veg. The veg of the show today. So I want to shout out to Scattered Minds in the building. Reparation Nation. Lead Clinton. Set Imhotep. Benny, Mama Free, sorry. Annabelle Rastril, Guada 9, Anthony actually has a question. Says, peace, Brother Shakara. There's a sister out of Kenya. She's based in the States now. Her show is Kumbukeni, Reclaiming Our Narrative. You're speaking of Sister Nduku. I am familiar with the sister. I don't know if she's familiar with me. We are connected on some social media, but I'm not sure if she's conscious of my existence or not. However, yes, I do have plans to reach out to our sister and get her on Kimbunga Media very, very soon, brothers and sisters. So do stay tuned. Even before what was taking place in Kenya, with the uprisings, the sister, like her vibration, she have the right vibration, you know what I mean? So I was I'm going to reach out to her and, arrange some kind of a conversation. Yeah. She works with a team as well. And I know at least some members of her team are familiar with us and what we do here, because when Elder Cecil joined us for our last conversation with Elder Cecil, one of the brothers who runs the channel with Sister Nduku, called the Emerging Al-Kebulan, reached out and wanted to get a contact for Elder Cecil from us. And so I know that at least her team is aware of us and what we do. I don't know the extent to which she herself, is aware of us, but we'll make that happen. So yes, give thanks to Brother Anthony. We'll definitely bring our sister through. Anthony also has a question early. Says, gotkushTV, spell out the new name of the podcast and give its meaning, please. So first of all, we're now talking about podcasts. We're developing a media institution that will feature some podcasts, certainly. Yeah. And you can find the name currently on screen. Where my name is, so it says at gotkushTV, and it also says Kimbunga Media. And so Kimbunga is spelled Kimbunga Media. Kimbunga, Kimbunga. And for all those who are unaware, Kimbunga is a beautiful word spoken in the Shona language, in the Kiswahili language. Yeah, or as our sister, we just mentioned our sister Nduku, and she would say Kiubuntu. Yeah, she refers to Kiswahili as Kiubuntu. So our Kiubuntu language, and it means whirlwind, it means storm. Yeah. And so Papa Garvey said, look for me in the whirlwind, look for me in the storm. So Kimbunga means whirlwind. And so we are generating the energy of the whirlwind through the development of independent universal African nationalist media, brothers and sisters. That's the journey that we're on as it stands right about now, and that is what we are evolving to. So bigging up to Brother Anthony for that question. Lesser also bigging up Free Ray Dread, Ebony Harmony, and bigging up CA. I don't know how you pronounce that. CA. Celestine. Bigging up yourself. No doubt. Bigging up everybody, yard and foreign, because one of the things that I love about this iteration of our growth and how we are developing at the moment is that we're developing an outer national audience, brothers and sisters. And so I'm truly appreciative of that. So big up yourself from anywhere in the world where you watch we. Just honor the item and give thanks for your presence right here on gotkushTV, soon to be known as Kimbunga Media, brothers and sisters. We're gonna get into some things right here now, kings and queens. I'm gonna get into some things right here now. We're gonna get into some things right here now. Yeah, when you got so much announcements at the beginning of the show, it takes long for getting at the topics. Yeah, but that's what the thing got. Yeah, so we give thanks for your patience. But there's plenty of things upon my mind right now, kings and queens. Plenty things. The brother said it's pronounced C. Give thanks. Give thanks, my brother. Give thanks. Yeah. So plenty things upon my head right now, plenty things. You know what I mean? And because of this whole transition that we're in at the moment, brothers and sisters, and I really want to make it clear that we're developing a media institution. We're not running a YouTube channel. So we're there, yeah. Even though currently part of our existence is on YouTube, or we're not comfortable around you, we know so we're going to grow past that something yeah, at some point, yeah, and we're planning so to do a solid thing. That's how we have to be thinking, yeah. But at this stage of our development, these things are necessary, and so we give thanks for you joining us at this stage of our development. Should also let you know, brothers and sisters, that you can support our growth and development by joining our Patreon community. At the moment, you can check out the pilot to our Black Group Economic Show when you join our Patreon community. You can watch all of our series last year of Black History Month series, the Sankofa, The Future of Black History. Very, very interesting presentations that we had for that particular series, brothers and sisters. Invaluable, monumental information. And currently I am doing a recommended reading series specifically for the Patreons on books on the most honorable Marcus Garvey and the legacy of the UNIA ACL. And so the next edition of that will be dropping this Friday. But whereas for the first 2 episodes, because it was obvious, yeah, you have to start with philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey. Whereas for the first 2 episodes, I was actually broadcasting which book I would be reviewing. Yeah, which book I would be reviewing. From here on out, you have to actually be able to watch the video. Yeah, you have to actually be able to watch the video and become a Patreon to know exactly which book I'll be recommending. Yeah, so I just want to put that out there, brothers and sisters, because especially for the Patreon community, and so we want to make sure that the Patreons feel, you know, well taken care of in that regard. All right, okay, brothers and sisters. Yeah, so we're going to get some things little more right here now, and because of all this transition business, we're transitioning from gotkushTV to Kimbunga Media. I have been really meditating on media and Black Power media, African revolutionary media, universal African nationalist media, and we're doing something different here, brothers and sisters, because whereas you know, there are other Pan-African media platforms, whereas there are some other African-centered media platforms, we are bringing that together, the cultural with the political, with a clear political message, a clear cultural message, yeah, that I think is a unique offering, yeah, to our global African media space as it stands at the moment. And so I've been meditating on the power of the media and the need for us to develop universal African media in African nationalist media in today's world. And so many wisdoms of our ancestors have permeated our consciousness upon the level there. And so some of the words of Nana Amos Wilson that pertain to this reasoning right now is the following, which can be found in the book Blueprint for Black Power. The corporate elite owned and controlled media function to create a climate of opinion, to shape social perception by framing the reality and information, which basically shapes the formation and expression of opinions. They do this mainly through setting the issue's agenda. That is, by controlling the domains of discourse, e.g., determining what is worthy of public exposure and discussion. Yeah. So before we even get to if I lie, them I tell, and who I tell the truth from who not tell the truth. Yeah. It's about controlling what is even worthy of being discussed before we even get to the point of what is being said. Sometimes what is not said is going to be fundamental and most important, because the domains of discourse, yeah, that are controlled by these individuals, brothers and sisters, these corporations, these institutions of media, have a definitive impact upon what is and is not spoken about, what is a worthy topic of conversation and what is not a worthy topic of conversation, what parts of a conversation should be given legitimacy and respect, and what parts of a conversation should be delegitimized. And so they choose what issues and information are to be emphasized, to be ignored or suppressed. Consequently, they create visibility and legitimacy for certain persons, groups, and opinions, and thereby impose limits on public knowledge, interest, discourse, understanding, behavior orientation, and capability. And so in this respect, brothers and sisters, one of the things that is done, when you raise certain points, is they will tell you that the point that you are raising is not important, right? You know what I'm saying? It is not important. Yeah. And in doing so, shut down the conversation because they want to keep it confined to a certain level whereby the problems that you are trying to solve are never given proper consideration. That you must only solve the problems that they define for you to solve. As in this instance, now we're talking about the corporate elite media, as Baba Amos Wilson refers to it, the corporate elite owned and controlled media, which is a subsidiary of the system of white power, Western imperialism, brothers and sisters. And so, I want to open with that, and we're going to be coming back to that topic periodically for the foreseeable future, brothers and sisters. Yeah, because I have to contextualize where we are doing here. We are developing media that puts our conversations on the table on our own terms. As Papa Garvey said, without any apology to the powers that be. Without any apology to the powers that be. The white imperialist powers that be, brothers and sisters. But now I beg no friend. Yeah. And that is the aim of what we are doing here. And so once again, we appreciate your support. And we look forward to growing with you. But let me touch upon some of the things that's been on my head right now. And many people will know that the Euros, yeah, me living in the United Kingdom of Great Britain, and the Euros took place over the weekend, as well as the across the Atlantic. We can't forget what I'm calling the tournament, but the equivalent of the Copa America. Yeah, the Copa America took place over the weekend, and Argentina beat Colombia 1-0. And there's a whole dynamic around that, yeah, which we're not going into today. But it's amazing. I'm very conscious when I watch sports of the extent to which what we watch and what we take in and what we get excited about. There's so much history behind it, and when you look upon the sport, the history behind it is often entirely colonial. Yeah, the spread of sports around the world and the sporting infrastructure is all built on colonial projects. The fact that football and cricket, for example, I'm a cricket enthusiast, and the T20 World Cup also just concluded. And when you look at the nations that generally speaking engage in cricket, they are nations that are the extension of British imperialism, either as a result of being colonized by Britain, formerly colonized by Britain, as it would be with so-called West Indies and Kenya and Zimbabwe and India, or as nations that were colonized and remain settler colonies of British imperialism, namely Australia and New Zealand. And even this time around, the United States of America had a cricket team that was full of Indian immigrants to the USA, brothers and sisters. But that's another subject for another time. Why have I got this picture up here, though, brothers and sisters? Because me, I wonder, brethren and sisters, me, I wonder if the tide has changed. Because one time it was standard, it was standard for black people in the UK. We not support no England football team. When it came to team sports, we never support no United Kingdom or Great Britain. We never support no England. Yeah, we not support them thing then, none at all. And so we did around here as African people in the UK. No support for no colonizer around here. We fire for them thing there. And like I said, this is particularly, especially when it came to team sports, yeah, so the football and the cricket. But me, I wonder if the thing changed in the regional system, because since the World Cup couple years ago and the Euros couple years ago, it looked like everything I move in the direction of, the majority of black people in the UK are now England football supporters. It's very serious business that go on right now, Like, it's different now. Like I said, this was mostly like team sports. And I'm educating brothers and sisters who may not be aware of the dynamics of black UK at the moment, yeah? Right? Generally speaking, black people in the UK did not support the England football team. That's just what it was, all right? Because the England football team is the colonizer team. Same for the England cricket team. Now, we understood, though, however, like that, like it was clear, like Johnny Barnes is a cultural icon, as far as black UK is concerned, despite all shortcomings, like Johnny Barnes is a cultural icon. Again, despite all shortcomings, Ian Wright, a cultural icon. Yeah, the man there is very well celebrated. And so it was understood that man come back and support Ian Wright and Johnny Barnes and Andy Cole, and all them man there. But still, we not support the England football team. And I think part of what is well, not that I think, I know. A lot of what is facilitating this at the moment is the fact that, I just see right here now, there's a number of brethren, in the England football team. And all who don't look like brethren have some African ancestry in them. Some of them have some African grandfather, where if you look upon them, you will know, say, it exists. But them have African grandfather and all them thing there, Whereas, I think, Andy Cole and even Johnny Barnes, they play for England, and Ian Wright often were felt like they were really treated badly, by the national team in the UK. Whereas this national team is embracing the man them, right? So I'm wondering, brothers and sisters, this is a question I'm asking. I may not know, but it feels like it to me that the tide has changed, that now, you know what I mean? Like, whereas one time it was understood that you could support Ian Wright, you could support Johnny Barnes, and you could support Andy Cole, and there was no contradiction between that and not supporting the England football team. Now it's like, in order to support the man them, in order to support Saka, you have to support England. That's the energy right now. That's the energy that I'm feeling. And it's like the thing changed, the thing gone. Not and one time, a few years ago, it was like, well, people my age were holding the line. Fire! Real lion come from Africa. Well, I support a tree lion on the shirt around here. And it was the youth them, like, Gen Z, what them call Gen Z, that were taken in and, start wave out some St. George's cross and all them thing there, But now, it looked like Generation Y, the millennial generation, and even Generation X get seduced in the thing. You know what I mean? It looked like that's a go on right about now. So I want to know. I'm just, for brothers and sisters who don't live in, and I've never lived in the UK, may I introduce you to some dynamics right here now. What go on around here. So I'd love to know brothers and sisters' opinion on that. I want to know it. Like, the thing gone. Is it that now we're just fully in love with the England football team, that we're supporting the colonizer right here now? Are that's the thing there? Are that's the thing there? You know what I mean? That's one topic, brothers and sisters. And then now, let me come back to this. Let me come back to this. Let me go Yasser first. Let me go Yasser first. This is the iconic image of the moment. The boy was named Donald Trump. What day, Them say him survive an assassination attempt. Shot bus at the rally in Pennsylvania. Yeah. All kind of thing I talk about that something here. But the most important thing that came out of this is this particular image right here. With Donald Trump with his fist in the air. The stars and stripes. Mr. the Star-Spangled Banner are waved directly above him head. It's as if somebody tell me said this is AI, me not believe them. If somebody tell me this is Photoshop, me not believe them because the whole thing look well too perfect. Yes, everything look well too perfect, brethren and sisters. And so this iconic image has come out of that particular occurrence. And then, of course, the conspiracy theories are running wild all over the internet. Because me watch a video, you know. I don't know if you've seen this video, right? 2 videos, in fact. One with a guy in Pennsylvania. Him say him never go at the rally, you know. But if them did a wait round the corner because them business did open. And them a wait now for Donald Trump start speak. For them go a little bit closer. Them can't see but them can hear him attack. Yeah. And they see the gunman climbing the building. This is him. This white man on BBC was being interviewed. And him say him see the gunman a climb up the building with the rifle clear in sight. Yeah. And him alert the Babylon them, the American Babylon them. Look, Babylon, not to Babylon. See the brethren here, I climb up the building that's up with the AR-15 rifle. Yeah, look there, you can't see him, and nobody now move. Yeah, nobody now alert the Secret Service. Yeah, and whoever else for their own them something. Nobody now move. Reggae. Then now there's a video of people who are actually in the rally, but near the building, and you can see the guy climbing up the building, and the people on my point say, look, this guy climbing up the building. What am I do? Yo, hey, you man, what you do up there? And nobody now move. So him bust off 3 shots, kill one somebody, injure 2 next somebody, and graze Trump pan him ace piece. And Trump go down under the Secret Service vibration and rise up again. Liquor blood pan him ear and raise up him fist in the ear under the American flag. And you know, and what's interesting to me is that there are enough brethren and sisters in America right now. And enough black conservatives in general, when them see this image, them feel invigorated, them love this image, yeah. This image inspire them, the Trumpists them, yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of Trumpists around here. Some of them call themselves Pan-Africanists and them are Trumpists, yeah. You know what I'm saying? And all them thing there, right? And you know, them image inspire them a blow. Them love them something, yeah. In fact, them love Trump, yeah. Them in love with this background, Mozungu, Oyebo, or Bruni. Them love the Bakra when named Donald Trump. Yeah. Now, brothers and sisters, I was watching and I shared this on our YouTube community page. Talk TV did an interview with somebody who's a specialist in these kind of matters, and him said, well, look, I know there's only 2 options here. Either gross incompetence on the part of the Secret Service, or this is orchestrated. Yeah. And when you say Talk TV, I said that. I want you to know who named Talk TV. For those who are not living in the UK, Talk TV is a right-wing media institution. Its viewership and its presenters are the ones in the UK who are most likely to be aligned with the Republican Party in general, the politics of the Republican Party in general, and Donald Trump in particular. Their viewership tends to be further right than the mainstream Conservative Party in the UK, although that party is also moving in that direction. They're putting pressure on that party. They're one of the media institutions, along with GB News and others, who are putting pressure on the Conservative Party in the UK to move further right. What I'm saying is that this media institution is full of people who are naturally aligned with the politics of Donald Trump and the Republican Party. So when you hear them, I say, well, here I know, listen, yeah, either this thing is massive incompetence on the part of the Secret Service, or orchestration are going. False flag. Yes? You know, so the thing's serious. Now, brothers and sisters, I am not saying that this thing was set up. I am not saying that Donald Trump and or Donald Trump's team staged an assassination attempt to boost Donald Trump's credibility in the presidential race. I am not saying that that is a fact. However, what I am saying is that if I was a member of Donald Trump's team and I wanted to find a way to boost Donald Trump's credibility in the presidential race, I could not think of a better way to do it. Me nah say I saw them did do, you know. But me I say, if me did want to find a way to push Trump 100% over the edge as far as his competition with Joe Biden at the moment, as far as the fact that he is currently being charged with how many different felonies before the judiciary in the United States at the moment, the fact that he has all kinds of allegations against him, from misappropriating government documents to sexual molestation right now, kings and queens. If I wanted to find a justifiable distraction from all of the conversation around January the 6th a few years ago and the insurrection where them say him did inspire the people them in America, if I wanted to find a viable distraction and regain the moral ground in the eyes of the American public and the American media, if I wanted to find a way to diminish or neutralize all of the attack points of the Democratic Party, Joe Biden, what's your name? The vice president, Kamala Harris, and all of them. If I wanted to neutralize all of the attack points in one fell swoop, me not say him did do it, you know. But me I say, me couldn't think of a better way to do it. That me I say right here now, than for stage an assassination attempt. I couldn't think of a better way to do it. You know what I mean? So we're going to leave that one there, so I'm going to share the link now. You can come through. The link is in the chat, brothers and sisters. The link is in the chat. And you can feel free to click that link and or at gotkushTV. If you want to ask a question, make a point, brothers and sisters, you can do so from the chat. I will only read out comments that are either at gotkushTV or at Kimbunga Media. And you can feel free to click that link. I'm going to pin the link now to the top of the chat as well. Yeah, so everybody, it's easy access. You know what I mean? It's easy access. But I want to get on to my last thing with the pan I mind right here now. And then we will go forward, brothers and sisters, with more generic conversation. All right. Some more generic conversation. Now, for those who are unaware, general election in the UK took place a couple weeks ago. The Labour Party was elected and given a majority by the voting public, although there's all kinds of caveats that we have to put on that particular result, namely that it was a very low voter turnout. But one of the factors that resulted from Labour winning the election is that this man by the name of David Lammy became the foreign secretary. Yeah, the foreign secretary. Now, let me give you an idea of what the foreign secretary is in the UK, brothers and sisters. The Foreign Secretary, or the Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs, also known as the Foreign Secretary, is a Secretary of State in the government of the United Kingdom with responsibility for the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. The role is seen as one of the most major ministers in the UK government and is a great office of state. The incumbent is a member of the cabinet of the cabinet of the United Kingdom and National Security Council, and reports directly to the Prime Minister. Responsibilities: in contrast to what is generally known as a foreign minister in many other countries, the Foreign Secretary's remit includes British relations with foreign countries and governments, promotion of British interests abroad, matters pertaining to the Commonwealth nations and overseas territories, oversight for secret intelligence services. So this is the person who oversees MI6. MI6 is the UK equivalent of the CIA. Yes, so the Foreign Secretary has the responsibility to oversee the activities of MI6 and Government Communication Headquarters, which is, again, British intelligence, brothers and sisters. So me want uno fi know say this is the first foreign minister of African heritage in the UK. And because of the fact that we still experience the first black this and the first black that, a lot of people see this as progress, development, us finally being embraced by the British society. When Keir Starmer and the Labour Party dash we wipe way, the Conservative them with the assistance of Reform and the Lib Dems in this election, MP for Brent, Dan Butler, post a picture on our social media. I feature all of the black MP them, including David Lammy, and I celebrate the melanin in the Labour Party. So them go and give with David Lammy now, as though David Lammy, as the first black foreign minister, should be a cause for celebration for I and I right here now. And me want to know say, this is not something that we should be celebrating as African people. Because what this means, brothers and sisters, is that David Lammy is effectively the black face of British imperialism. The black face of Bakra, Muzungu, Mundele, Tubab, Oibo, or Bruni. Imperialism as far as its British variation in today's world. That is what David Lammy is. This is why I and I don't celebrate British MP and British cabinet member and all them things there. And give thanks to Heru in the building. You're right. Correction. Cleverly, James Cleverly was the foreign secretary. Yeah, briefly. Yeah, from 2022, 2023. I forgot. That cabinet was always reshuffling. But that is correct. So Lammy is the second foreign secretary of African heritage. The first operating under a Labour Party government. David Lammy. And the first thing what David Lammy do as foreign secretary is go and go meet Netanyahu. Yeah. Yeah. You have to shore up the thing. Yeah. And this is partly because the Labour Party came under fire under Jeremy Corbyn for anti-Semitism and lack, which is really a lack of allegiance to the state of Israel. And Keir Starmer's claim to fame is that he has changed his party and reformed. The British Labour Party on the issue of anti-Semitism. And so, David Lammy, as the Foreign Secretary, has a responsibility to shore up and demonstrate Britain's allegiance to Israel by going and taking a picture with Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu. A man who is widely believed in the so-called international community to be in the process of committing a genocide against the Palestinian people who reside in Gaza. But, Shakara, David Lammy also met with a Palestinian. Yes. Can't remember the Palestinian's name. But he met with an authority, leading member of the Palestinian Authority, brothers and sisters. That again is political games, because him never meet with a member of Hamas. And Hamas is the authority in Gaza. That is the other side of the war in Gaza at the moment. But what is happening is that the liberal element of the white power political spectrum, the center, and what some may refer to as left of center wing of Western imperialist politics at the moment, is trying to do their best to play the Palestinian sides against each other and align with one. They're hoping that the Palestinian Authority will work in their interest enough so that they can form a respectable alliance with it against Hamas, so as to justify Israel's current actions in Gaza based upon the presence of Hamas. The idea being, if only the Palestinian Authority was leading in Gaza, we'll be able to resolve the issue. Personally, don't have a dog in that fight. Personally, don't have a passionate opinion on the issue of Palestinian Authority versus Hamas. It's not my issue. That is for the people them of Palestine to work out amongst them one another. My point here, brothers and sisters, is that as black people in the UK, this image right here is not a cause for celebration. Somehow no get well British now. And so your interests politically have aligned with the interests of Britain. But what we have to understand is that when there is a black foreign minister in the UK, we have to understand clearly that this is going to be the man who is responsible for instituting British foreign policy in relation to Haiti, in relation to Congo and Rwanda, in relation to Azania, South Africa, in relation to Brazil and Cuba, in relation to Trinidad and Suriname, in relation to Kenya. Right here now. This is the face of British interests and British foreign policy in relation to these areas. And if you think that Brother David Lammy has the spine, the backbone, and the testicular fortitude to stand on principle in relation to any of the things I've just mentioned, you are delusional. David Lammy couldn't even raise a significant voice on the issue of Gaza. And that was an issue more obvious than most, and an issue which other members of his own party were prepared to speak up about. David Lammy is a bought and paid for agent of British imperialism. That's why he got the job. Them know him not divert from the script. None at all. So why we are celebrate them thing here? And some of you, there's a trend developing among Africans in the UK at the moment. Yes, somehow know. It comes under the banner of British Caribbeanism, whereby we are defining a Caribbean identity as though it has a natural and organic alignment and allegiance with a British identity. And the Caribbean geopolitical interest is somehow organically aligned with British political interest. Somehow, no, under this British Caribbeanism, want to promote a division between us as Africans from the Caribbean and Africans from the continent. And develop a situation in which somehow British Caribbeans receive some kind of a privileged place in Britain based upon our supposed contribution to British society. So we're moving into an interesting place in our sojourn as Africans in the UK, whereby we are being seduced and appointed, and some of us are becoming willing agents of Bakra imperialism in its British variation. And this is just the latest development in that dynamic. We have to fire for them thing here. Lightning and earthquake and thunder. No support. No British foreign minister. And what's going to be interesting, you can click the link, brothers and sisters. The link is in the chat if you want to come live. The link is pinned to the top of the chat right about now. You can come live. I was having a conversation with a brother over the weekend when I was at Pan-African Sports Day. By the way, forgot to mention that at the beginning of the show. Shout out to all those who came down to Pan-African Sports Day. Last week, Saturday, the 13th of July, brothers and sisters. Big up to the Africa Bantu Saturday School, who, you know, took the cup, away from I&I as the Al-Qibla Academy of Excellence. Well deserved. Well done. And we'll meet you next year. But it was a beautiful day, and shout out to all those who came down. You know, it was a beautiful day. To have some, just a stadium full, and literally a stadium. It takes place in an athletic stadium of African people gathered, brothers and sisters. It was a beautiful, beautiful day, and so we give thanks for all those who came down to Pan-African Sports Day, and all those who took part. And we're going to do more on Kimbunga Media to profile Pan-African Sports Day, brothers and sisters. So do stay tuned. Yeah. But we want to make sure that next year the stadium is full. Yeah. And so we're going to do our best on Kimbunga Media to let you know what go on so you can come down and just enjoy the vibration. You know what I mean? But I was having a conversation with a brother and him saying it might come true in us. I'm not going to call him name right here now. But I hope it does come true. But we was reasoning about Kenya. The brother's from Kenya. So we was reasoning about Kenya. And we were talking about the different black MPs in Parliament. Yeah. Specifically as it relates to the Labour Party. And, you know, last year, our sister Belle Ribeiro Addy raised the issue of reparations in Parliament. Yeah. Nice sister. And a sister who has some connections with grassroots organizations. She also spoke at the reparations rally last year. Yeah. And so she has, you know, at least some track record as an MP of working with not just in the community, but working with Pan-African organizations in the community. But me and the brother were reasoning about the extent to which we should pressure black MPs, specifically in the Labour Party, because the Labour Party is now in power, on the issue, on issues such as relationship, British policy towards the Sahel states. Yeah, the alliance of the Sahel states, namely Mali, Burkina Faso, and not Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. On British policy in relation to Kenya and the uprisings that are taking place in Kenya right here now. Yeah. And related issues. British policy in relation to Haiti. And I was saying that, by the way, brothers and sisters, it was interesting to see Diane Abbott being introduced as the mother of the house. I've been meaning to listen to her speech though. I don't know, I'm gonna do it. But I love for somebody if you was able to watch Diane Abbott's speech, being celebrated as the mother of the house in Parliament the other day after them treat her so wicked and bad, and you know, and this is what I'm saying. I can't listen. I've defended Diane Abbott when she's been attacked. Yeah. And I've defended some of her record on issues like black education and some of the work that she's done to try and address the issue of black children in the British education system. Yeah. She's done some good work in that regard and worked with the community on certain issues. But after all of that, yeah, to see that dynamic, I'm not gonna lie, yeah, put a bad taste in my mouth. And anybody who didn't watch our speech can come talk about it. Like I said, I haven't watched it yet. But it was interesting to see the little hypocrite, Keir Starmer, who refused to give her the whip up until the last minute. Bringing that the conversation there. And the fact that she was so willing to accept it. But I was reasoning for the brethren from Kenya about the viability of putting pressure on these MPs. And I said to him, look, member said David Lammy now is the face of the black face of British imperialism as the foreign secretary. There is nothing in David Lammy's history to suggest that he has even the slightest inclination to be principled on such issues. And to the extent that black Labour MPs are busy celebrating representation within the government as it stands at the moment, I don't have faith in any black MP, Labour Party or otherwise, to press a politically astute position, or at least a position that is favorable to Pan-African revolutionary inclination in the British Parliament. That naga go on. And I'd be very shocked if it does go on. And when time you see it go on, try and know what going to happen to the smaddy we bring it. I don't see a dynamic developing itself in which Diane Abbott and Dawn Butler and to include the Conservative Sean Bailey and the rest of them are going to start putting pressure on David Lammy as Foreign Secretary to be less neo-colonial in relation to Kenya and South Africa and Sahel and Congo and Haiti. Me no see it. I don't see it happening. Despite the fact that 98% of us as black people in the UK vote Labour, it now go on. Got some questions in the chat. You can feel free to add to the questions in the chat by @GotkushTV, @GotkushTV. Feel free to do so right about now. Imhotep says, maybe it's meant to mean Mammy in the house. You know what? I'm sure that is how many of them see it, brothers and sisters. No, me not call Diana, but no Mammy, you know. Yeah. But I am confident that her position in that space at that time is designed to be a mascot for legitimizing diversity within the Labour Party. I have no doubt whatsoever that that is what that title means to Keir Starmer and the Blairist Labour Party as it stands at the moment. I was about to say, I'm sorry if I said that, but I'm not. That's the truth. And truth of a chat. Oh, same comment. So give thanks Imhotep for that there. Yeah. I don't see it, brothers and sisters. I don't see it happening. So when now the British government lays out its military agenda, lays out its economic agenda for the next 4 to 5 years, this is going to be the most senior diplomat in charge of bringing that agenda to fruition. And somehow we think this is something to celebrate. We have been made the black face of white power. It's the Obama ethic, brothers and sisters. The link is in the chat. If you want to come through live, brothers and sisters, feel free to do so. Or if you have a question or a comment that you want to raise from in the chat, feel free to @gotkushTV or @Kimbunga Media. We are receiving your comments in the chat, brothers and sisters. We are receiving your comments in the chat. Brother Ellery is joining us. I'm going to bring him through very shortly. Once again, all on deck. Greetings, Brother Ellery. You're on mute, my brother. If you're
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, brilliant. Sorry, I couldn't see myself. Yeah. Yes. Fine. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay. Good. I just wanted to let you know, maybe it's a new generation of black people. They accept themselves as being English or British. That's why they support the football team. And when they represent the Labour Party or the Tory Party, they represent Britain. They're not representing black people because they see themselves as being part of the country. They're British, they're English. So that's it.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I on the football thing, though, like I said, before this year, I would agree with you. I'm starting to see though more people. I think you're a bit older than me. More people my than your age on the bandwagon. I'm starting to see that a lot more. I'm seeing people that were, like in and around my age in their 40s, you know what I'm saying, who were, I'm supporting now, you know what I mean? Like it got there. It got there,
Yeah. The change has happened. It doesn't surprise me with the younger generation, but with the older generation, that was a bit surprising when I saw so many of them. Maybe they were just happy to support England because England was in the final. Maybe that was it. But I definitely do agree. I have seen the change. The younger generation, most of them, they see themselves as British, English. They won't admit it in London, but outside of London, when you go to home counties or you go up to, I don't know, you go to other parts of the country, like Wales, Scotland, they'll tell you they're Welsh, they're Scottish. Or in England, you'll see some blacks who tell you they're from Bristol. They're from Bristol or Gloucester or something. So it's only in London, certain parts of London, where they still hang on to this, no, I'm not, I'm from this African country or I'm from this Caribbean country. But it doesn't look good for them because if they haven't been to the Caribbean or they've never been to an African country, it doesn't look good that when they're repping it, because it's like, but
absolutely. My thing is this, because you know that the dynamics here is that whenever people always talk about it, whenever the team is losing, like it's amazing how consistent the media is. And even though every time it happens, there's a backlash against it, but they still manage to do it. Like when they lose, they put the black players on there. When they win, they find Harry Kane, image. The racism that is put out by the British media every time there's a problem against these African players is a mad thing, and for me though, I've watched this thing quite closely, steadily for quite some time. And a few years ago, David Olusoga, the historian, put out an article in relation to Southgate's British team, and poor Southgate. He resigned today. Him stepped down from the job, and I was almost feeling sorry for Southgate, because the British people are ungrateful, no blowout, them ungrateful, no rats, because this man has got them to, was it 2 finals in a semi or 2 semis in a final?
And 2 finals,
right, and a semi, and they've cost this man. The whole time Southgate can't catch a break. He's the most successful manager for over 3 generations, and boy, Southgate get cost regular all the way. You know what I'm saying? And they almost won it. They almost won it on Saturday. In fact, in my humble estimation, the best goal of the match was actually scored by England. The actual best goal, just as a quality goal. To me, that goal was a mad goal. It was a mad goal. You know what I'm saying, right? But so when our ball tears over England are losing, I'm just saying that the British public is ungrateful. Where was I going with this?
Because
all that racism happens all the time. And then David Olusoga put out an article the other day, a few years ago, whereby he was saying about the beauty and the fantasticness of Gareth Southgate's team, and basically how it looks like the country and so on and so forth, right? And what happened is that he said that basically, whereas generations past, when they saw like the Union Jack and St. George's flag, they associated it with like the NF, the National Front and the BNP and them thing there. Whereas the younger generation are basically detached from that reality. They're detached from that history. And I was like, but is that something to celebrate though?
It is in a sense that it's nowhere as bad as it was in the 80s, the 70s, and the 60s. And as you pointed out, that generation, they never experienced it. When we were kids, you could literally go down a certain street where there might be skinheads. Skinheads existed when we were kids.
100%.
But with their generation, they don't see skinheads. They don't see the National Front. Maybe if the Reform Party started doing some explicit racist stuff with the flag, then the younger generation would associate it with that. But because, as you mentioned, they haven't got that experience, they don't see it the way we see it. So
No, I get you. It's just interesting to me that because like for example, Jewish youth today didn't experience the Holocaust, yeah,
true.
but they're very connected to it, right?
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? As far as the legacy of their elders and their ancestors, and so on and so forth. Yeah, like British young people, never experienced the World War II. Yeah, but so much of the British consciousness is developed around that. It's impossible for them not to, you know what I mean, to be embedded in it at least to some degree. So it's like it requires us now to support England to the extent that we are at the moment. Requires us to just it's not even about experience. It's about being disconnected from our old generations, right? You know what I'm saying? And the point that you make is interesting about Skinners and so on and so forth, because like even before like reform, not before, well, before reform actually, but whilst UKIP was still a thing, the English Defence League came about, and
Yes.
then there's a rise in the right wing all over Europe at the moment, to the point whereby the far right nearly became the government in France the other day, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's all kinds of dynamics going on. So so then when you see reform now, like, and there are others that are not reform but are still that far right politics, and they're operating over here as well. So it's going to be a very interesting few years as far as the European scene is concerned. You know what I'm saying? What's it called? Yes, you are. Sorry, brother Elio. I'm gonna go on to brother
Sure.
Kwesi at the moment, and you can feel free to stay where you are or release yourself when you want to.
Sure.
Brother Kwesi. Brother Kwesi. Oh, wait, let me unmute you.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, King. What's the contribution?
No, I just wanted to participate in the show because what happened. I find this a very interesting time in politics, in African politics.
Yes, sir.
And I've been a whole campaigner, and I wanted to give a little bit of my voice, an opinion on what's happening.
Go ahead, old campaigner. We are ready to.
I think we have some nice development happening in Africa, especially from the Sahel region.
Yes, sir.
Well, I've been here a long time, and some of the dreams, some of the things I thought wouldn't have happened in my lifetime has happened. I see South Africa kind of liberated to a little extent, not quite like I wanted to see, but we've moved on, and I've seen good happening in the Sahel region, where people, the army is realizing that we really need stable and loyal government to the African people. And
yes,
that's a very good start. And that sets a pattern for Africa, because the new generation of Africans, we've been preaching about accountability in Africa and how the economy of Africa has been let down by the leaders. And I'm seeing now a reality in the youth, where the older people were not revolting, they took things for granted. But the young ones are really asking questions now.
Yes, sir.
They're saying, how is Africa so rich in resources, and yet we have to have the begging bowl out at every crisis? We should be more than self-sufficient in food, and yet at every little crisis, we're out with a begging bowl to European countries and all these things. And all these things need to change. Because for me as a Black person, it's very humiliating to see our people blessed with so much wealth and talent, and yet we're floundering at the bottom of the economic and human chain. And
Yes,
this
sir.
needs to change.
My brother, I don't know if you were here earlier in the show, but we have, I don't know how familiar you are with what is happening in Kenya at the moment with the uprisings of the young people in Kenya. But we have a show on that tomorrow. Yeah. So let me share that once again. It's a good opportunity to share this once again, brothers and sisters. You can join us tomorrow, where we're going to be joining our brother William Sakawa live from Kenya tomorrow at 7 p.m. UK time. Yeah, 7 p.m. UK time, which is 2 p.m. EST if you're across the water. And we're gonna have our brother William Sakawa in Kenya, letting us know Wagwan in Kenya. We also had our brother Achola Otieno last week, did on the same topic, yeah. And so because you mentioned the young people coming to terms with certain realities and trying to address them, I thought that you'd be interested in that show, my elder brother. Yeah, we're overdue an update analysis on the Sahel states. For those who joined us before for our previous look at the dynamics of the Sahel states some months ago, our guests were very skeptical and very critical, yeah. And then many of our audience members were a bit more optimistic, and there was a whole discussion about optimism versus pessimism versus realism in that regard. Having said that, as it stands, there has been some.
Yeah, well, we got to be a bit vigilant,
Right. Right, I agree. Yeah, and that's really what the call was. And so, as it stands, though, there have been some what many might regard to be positive developments in terms of the alliance of the Sahel states drawing closer together in terms of their political and economic union. Yeah, and so we need to engage a further analysis on that. As it stands as well, I am scheduled to, and it's been delayed, but I do have a guest in South Africa coming on to talk about the recent election in South Africa, which is very problematic. Yeah, entirely problematic. All right, brothers and sisters. But my two guests on the panel, please stay where you are. Stay where you are for as long as you want to stay there. Brothers and sisters who want to join the panel can click the link which is pinned to the top of the chat. I'll share it one more time, but there's a number of comments in the chat that I have to get through. Yeah, so I want to respect the people that are commenting in the chat as well. So let me do that right now. And C says, big up to gotkushTV for your continued coverage of IET and the indestructible solidarity with the first free African republic in the name of Pan-Africanism. As an Afro-Haitian, I am humbled and thankful. My brother, I am grateful for your reflection and grateful and humbled by the fact that you took time to share that. And don't worry, we're not come off of IET. We're not come off of IET. We're going to stay upon IET. Yeah. Our last show was with our brother, or in our We Stand With IET series, was with our brother Jafrik IET. And so we're going to be coming back to the issue of IET very soon. Yeah. So like September won't pass before we come back to IET again. And I'm trying to set up a particular guest. But this guest, you have to take time, you know what I mean? So yeah, do stay tuned, but we're going to stay on the issue of IET. And my brother, if at any point during any of our, open house lives, such as this one, you want to come and share a perspective or a point or an update on what is taking place in IET, feel free to do so. You are welcome to do so. Because like I said, for shows like this, it's open house, so brothers and sisters can raise the topics of discussion. So feel free, whenever there's not a specific topic on for a whole show, let's come through, share an update. You know what I mean? Share a perspective. We invite you and encourage you to do so. We stand with our people in IET as it goes at the moment. Yeah. Heru says, gotkushTV, Mother of the House is a title given to the woman MP that has been in the Commons longest. Yeah, I'm aware of that. And you're right. I should have probably said that before. So it's not an award as such. No, I agree. For those who are not aware, the former Mother of the House has left the Houses of Parliament and she's been made a baroness, I believe it is. Harriet Harman is her name. So that basically was the act that made Diane Abbott the Mother of the House. What I am saying, however, right, is that if you know what happened, Diane Abbott was unseated from her position based upon some controversy that took place a couple of years ago. Yeah, sorry, a year, maybe just over a year ago. For the whole entire year, she's been asking to get her position back in the parliament and had been disallowed from doing so. A white man the other day was revealed to have made some comments about the fact that Diane Abbott makes him want to hate black people and she should be shot. And even and he was a number one donor to the Conservative Party in the UK. And even then, Keir Starmer did not restore the whip. They announced the election, and this woman didn't know whether she was going to be able to stand in her constituency or not. They eventually allowed it after some questioning and even some speculation that she was not going to be able to stand. She never decided to go independent like Jeremy Corbyn and what was the woman in Chingford? Somebody who knows the name of the MP in Chingford that was a Labour Party MP that was basically unseated from a position in the Labour Party and ran as an independent and nearly beat them. What's her name again? Yeah. So the point I was making is that after all of that, yeah, what I saw was a little bit too cozy. Yeah. It's a little bit too cozy for, you know what I'm saying? You know, it just looked too cozy for I and I. That's just me, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you know, Fire should have won. And like I said, I have not watched her speech. So maybe she did have some true word, yeah, in the speech that I haven't heard. So if anybody did watch the speech that can let me know about the contents of it, then, you know what I'm saying? At the same time, being the mother of the House of Parliament, again, just like the foreign minister, although it's not the same position, not something that me really celebrate, you know what I mean? So I think Harry also says, gotkushTV, Jeremy Corbyn missed out on Father of the House because another MP was sworn in minutes before him. So I'm assuming that well, Jeremy got caught on tape saying that the whole thing are nonsense. The whole swearing thing is foolishness. So so yeah, maybe it wouldn't have been that important to man. Caribbean UK identity, maybe it's a case of catch up. I don't quite over still need some clarity upon that one there. Remember the CRED regarded African UK as optimistic immigrants, yeah, and Caribbean as pessimistic, yeah. That is the narrative of those like Tony Sewell, that the success of African immigrants to the UK is based upon immigrant optimism, whereas quote unquote Caribbean, the descendants of Caribbean immigrants are filled with pessimism. And so if you're optimistic about British society, apparently you will succeed and flourish, but if you are pessimistic, you shall not. Last one from Heru, I believe so anyway. No, there's one more. Says, with the likes of Cleverly, Kerry Badden, Kwasi, Mashito, Victor Adebowale, and even Stormzy as success stories. It sounds like that's a. Oh, I see. I feel like that's a continuation from a previous comment. I think I had these in the wrong order, but okay, yeah, because all of these are Africans of continental African, mostly Nigerian, yeah, lineage, right? You know what I'm saying? And so the idea is that all of these Africans from the continent and their descendants are flourishing in British society, whereas, you know, us lowly Caribbeans, because we lack optimism, are not. Very important point. Yeah, very important point. That was the last one from Heru. You know, I'm so hopeful about the alliance of Sahel states. Yeah, set Imhotep. Yeah, like I said, that when it first did go on, I was cautiously optimistic, and then delved into some further analysis, and I just thought, you know what? Let me just reserve all judgment and wait to see where I go on. I'm gonna bring on a brother who is an activist from the UK who has visited Burkina Faso and I believe Mali. Yeah. And he's another optimist in that regard. So I'm going to bring him on, young activist from the UK, to share a perspective. Yeah. And I think that there is room for that balance in terms of optimism and skepticism as regards to military takeover on the African continent, especially because of the history of military takeovers on the African continent and in the Black world in general, but also because of the fact that a lot of the people in those nations seem to be supporting the governments as they stand. Yeah. I think that one of the things that heartens me about Kenya, for example, is that the foregrounding of that protest is about neocolonialism. They're challenging directly the International Monetary Fund. It's one thing to challenge the French. When you're challenging the International Monetary Fund, it suggests a level of political consciousness and awareness that I think is very promising. The difference with Kenya is that none of the people that are protesting at the moment seem to be in a position to take the reins of government. And so that's the difference between Sahel at the moment and Kenya as it stands at the moment. Yeah. So very interesting things are going on, Ronia. You know what I'm saying? Any of the brothers on the panel want to speak to any of the issues that were raised by the people in the comments right now? Feel free to do so.
Why do you think he said that about the Caribbean people? He said that in the UK they're pessimistic.
Yeah, no, this is the general right-wing narrative, or I should say the Black conservative industrial complex narrative. So people like Tony Sewell, who is an African of Caribbean heritage, that's the narrative that they push as a distraction from dealing with systematic issues. So, we don't want to say the problem is British society. So we'll say the problem is our attitude towards British society. Yeah. It's a scapegoat thing. And it's another way of saying that the quote unquote Caribbeans have a deficient culture. Yeah. Whereas, our brothers and sisters from the continent, have a superior, kind of, culture.
Aren't there a lot of Caribbean MPs in Labour, though, in the Labour Party?
100%. 100%. I think that they are, and I'm not sure about this, but I think at this point, Black MPs from the continent now outnumber Black MPs from the Caribbean. And I could be wrong on that. Yeah, I could be wrong on that. But that may, no, actually, sorry. Prior to now, that might have been the case because the Conservatives have lost a lot of MPs. so yeah, that may not be the case no more. But yeah, either way though, whether that is the case or not, because it could be the case that there's more MPs from a Black Caribbean background, quote unquote, what they call Black Caribbean background. The point though is that they put out the perception that, and what they're using to fuel this is black quote unquote Black Caribbean underachievement in the education system. So they're not even talking about, they're generally not talking about jobs and career. Yeah, they're generally talking about, they're using secondary school attainment indicators in terms of what represents failure and success in that regard. Yeah. And so because
it's interesting though what you're mentioning, because they use those indicators, and the African kids are doing better than the Caribbean kids, but the white kids are doing worse than the Caribbean kids. But when they talk about the white kids, they show sympathy. Who's going to help the white working class kids who are there? But when they mention the Caribbean,
it's not that the white kids are doing worse, It's that the white working class kids are supposedly doing worse. Yeah.
And there's a sympathy story for them.
Oh yeah, 100%. But again, that's more scapegoating. They want to distract from dealing with Black children, right? You know what I'm saying? And so it's a thing whereby now, one of the reasons though why they focus on the education thing is because obviously the reason for you going to school is to get qualifications to go and get your job, right? That's the narrative. Go to school, get good grades, get a good job. But when you look at attainment levels as far as employment is concerned, the reverse is the case. Whereas even white working class boys who are underachieving in the education system, somehow at the other end of it seem to be more employable than black people, even black people with a university degree. Yeah. So that white working class boys have a higher have a higher employment rate than black people with college degrees. Yeah. So this is how they massage. You know what I'm saying? There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. That's how the thing go around here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's an interesting point. And I should also say that the African immigrant stats are overly represented by Nigerians, recent migrants from Nigeria. Yeah. Recent middle class and upper middle class migrants from Nigeria, particularly since the 1980s and the 1990s. And why I mention that is because we discussed before the issue of this disaggregation. Whereas I used to put African Caribbean in one box before, now they disaggregate, yeah, for the sake of creating a statistic that gives the impression that black Africans are doing better than black Caribbeans. But if you're going to disaggregate, then why don't you disaggregate the black African thing? So why don't you look at black Nigerian students versus black Congolese or Angolan or Kenyan or Ghanaian, yeah, students? If disaggregating is the thing that we need to be doing here, why are we allowing the African homogenous grouping? You know what I'm saying? That doesn't make
Can
any
I
sense.
just butt in there for a little while?
Go ahead, my older brother.
Well, I have a good understanding of the education system in this country because
Yes,
I was partly educated in Jamaica and partly here. And I got a good feel of the education system. What you find is that African children tend to be more focused and they have more of a family support system within the home. And this gives them a good advantage. We, as Caribbean people, we have a lot more conflicts going on in our homes, and sometimes a lot of our Caribbean people do not put the emphasis on education as necessary. They need to do a lot more. I've been through it and I've seen it. I know a lot of very positive Caribbean people, Jamaican people, and the ones who are normally kind of united family-wise are the ones who do well. So it's all to do with the structuring of family that plays a very big part in education.
My brother, let me ask you a couple of questions. First of all, you said you were schooled in Jamaica, yeah?
Yeah.
How celebrated is education or was education in Jamaica?
Yeah.
Like what is education a celebrated pursuit in Jamaica?
Well, when I was a youth, it was very much so because it was very much so. From the I don't know, within my area, I came from a rural community.
Yes.
And we came just after independence. And when there was an onus on for Jamaicans to educate themselves because we were expected to run the country and be the leaders of our country. So I knew from a very early age I had to do pretty well educationally if I was going to do any good in Jamaica, because once you're not decently educated, life it can be very tough. So I knew it from I was 11, 12 that I had to strive to get on educationally to do reasonable well in Jamaica.
Right. The reason why I asked that question, my brother, is because if there was an inherent problem with Africans from the Caribbean in terms of seeing viability and celebrating the pursuit of education, that would be represented back home. Yeah. And whenever I speak to somebody who was educated back home or who lived back home for any significant period of time, they will tell you, say, back home, education is celebrated.
Yes.
People want to be educated, right? So it looks like this issue, if there is an issue of Africans from the Caribbean not valuing education, it seems to be a condition that is specific to the UK. Our grandparents and our great grandparents and our parents, them never come here not valuing education. Yeah.
Sure.
Right. So the question then becomes, what has happened in British society if this is a case now that second, third, fourth generations are no longer valuing education? What has happened? Yeah. Because this is not something that is a product of our culture.
I'll tell you what happened.
Right.
I'll tell you what happened. You see, this like from a inspiring black kids in school.
Yes.
The teachers didn't have the black the interests of the black kids at heart. So instead of for the children to have the onus to educate, what I got in this system when I came here, they tried to suppress the learning and the expectations of black kids. I came from a school where, well, it was kind of what you call a grammar school in England term. And for some reason, my parents didn't quite understand the system. And I went to a comprehensive school for a short time. And the standard and of education plus the outlook for the black kids were very poor. They were marginalized, they were victimized, they were undermined at all levels. So I didn't find it very difficult why they had so much struggle in getting the education which they desired. I was living up in the Midlands, and at the comprehensive school, it was quite clear to me that all the black kids who were at the comprehensive school were heading straight for the factory, and that was the education they got. There were many talented black kids at school with me at the time, and they didn't realize it until long after school. And somehow some of them motivated themselves and did fairly well, but whilst at school, it was really oppressive.
Absolutely, I hear you.
Really
Let me bring Ellery into this conversation. Ellery.
Yes.
Question: were you educated in Nigeria at all?
Yes, I was. Yes, primary school.
At primary school, yeah. So, and so two questions for you. First of all, I would imagine what our brother Kwesi has outlined as far as Jamaica is concerned would be similar in relation to Nigeria in terms of how education is valued among people in Nigeria. Correct?
Yes, it's valued very highly, very highly.
But like, how does that factor into what's the word? The social standing of people in Nigeria, in the sense of, does Nigeria have a large upper middle class and middle class, or is there a significant amount of poverty in Nigeria and or underdevelopment and or underachievement of children in the schools?
I'd say from what little I know, there's a big underclass, a big working class, a small middle class, and an even smaller upper middle class that has a great deal of the wealth.
And and you may not be able to, so I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but do you know anything about the attainment level? So is it that, like, are poor people graduating from school and university on mass levels in Nigeria?
They do graduate, but the problem isn't them using their intelligence to graduate. The problem is the difficulty in getting the opportunities. From what I hear, it's almost like it's a case of who you know. Okay. So you'll get people who are from working class backgrounds, Nigerians who will work very hard, do well, get into secondary schooling, whether it's King's College or Queen's College, from what I remember. I mean, it's been years, but they would work very hard and they would pass, go to University of Ibadan, University of Lagos, get their degrees, and then the next stage, which would be to get work, would be quite difficult. And so in the end, you'd have the brain drain where they then leave. They go to Europe.
Which kind of brings me to the next question I was going to ask you now, which is the from your experience as a brother from Nigeria who lives here in the UK, what class status would you say that most of the Nigerians who migrate to the UK come from? Are most of these people lower, working class, peasants?
I don't know. I mean, the ones that I used to associate with, primarily they were middle class, upper middle class. So when I used to play rugby, the ones I would see there, they came.
Oh yes, I forgot you're a rugby man.
Yeah, they came from that background. They went to boarding school. They played rugby. But I have been amongst. But I'd say the majority who come over, they're working class. They're working class Nigerians. But yeah, but you do have middle class. Who do come as well. But I don't know, it's brain drain, so many people leaving.
No, it's a massive issue everywhere that we are a majority, you know what I'm saying? And I think, and forgive me because I don't have the statistics in front of me at the moment, but I believe I am correct in saying that once the generations are equal, that there suddenly parity appears, or some level of parity appears between Black African, quote unquote, and Black Caribbean, quote unquote. So in other words, whereas first generation children from the continent may perform in education better than third or fourth generation children from the Caribbean, if you're comparing third and fourth generation children from the Caribbean to third and fourth generation children from the continent, the disparity is not as stark.
Really, you think so? Okay, that's interesting.
I've come across statistics that suggest that.
Okay.
Previously, yeah. So again, forgive me because I can't quote them at the moment, but in a future show, if we are able to bring those forward, I would definitely bring those forward. Yeah.
I would say those, because Kwesi mentioned the culture where between the African and those from the Caribbean with the family, and saying that there was a breakdown of the family within the Caribbean in a certain period. Certainly, it happened over a particular time, and that might have affected generations of the children from excelling.
Absolutely. But and as we were kind of discussing last week, a lot of that family breakdown was economical as well. Yeah, as Kwesi was saying, in terms of children basically being farmhoused into factories. Yeah.
I'd say, sorry for cutting you off, but I'd also say it's the breakdown of conservatism, because when I look at the documentaries of the Caribbeans who came here in the 50s, the 60s, they were quite conservative with religion, the way they dressed, the way they looked at life. And over a period of time, that conservative behavior has kind of dwindled with the successive Caribbean generations. They're still serious. I mean, when I used to be a Christian, I used to go to African churches and Caribbean churches. So I know there's still Caribbean people who go to church who are very conservative, but I'm saying there are things now that are probably accepted in the Caribbean culture in England that probably weren't in the 60s and the 70s. So
no, absolutely, which kind of brings you back to my point. Although I probably wouldn't describe it as conservatism, but the in terms of the impact of this of being in Britain. Yeah, so there are certain challenges that come with being in Britain that produce certain things in Black families, whether they're from the Caribbean or whether they're from the continent, right? Like I went to college with a lot of brothers from the continent, yeah, and a lot of them were on road, right? Right, that's what I'm saying. Let's just be straight. Man from Nigeria and Angola, and them thing there. The man that was on road, let's not get it twisted out here, right? You know what I'm saying? So if we're gonna look down a few next generation, look at all a lot of Stormzy's generation. Stormzy was mentioned earlier. Yeah, Stormzy coming out of Lewisham, fam. Yeah, anyway, that's a whole next.
But that's a whole different thing. That was when some of those African kids were trying to blend in with some of the Caribbean kids, so they started behaving a certain way. Because I did school after Nigeria. I came to England. I was in the countryside, but then I ended up in London in Streatham Hill State School, and it was a whole different experience. And I did notice there were African kids who were kind of like shy of their Africanness, and they try and behave like they were Jamaican.
You're making my point, my brother, to the extent that there's something that happens the longer we are here. Yeah? Just what I'm saying. Like there's something that happens, yeah. For the more we are in British society, there's something that happens, yeah. Along with as the generations come and go, there's something that happens there. The brother Yao is on the platform, so I do want to come to him. There's more that could be said on this, but let's open to Yao.
Good evening, kings and queens. I don't know if you can hear me okay.
Yes, my brother. Good evening. Good evening.
Yes. Nice to speak with you again, Chakara. Thank you, gotkushTV, for the opportunity again. Peace and blessings. Interesting chat with our brothers here, Elri and Kwesi. I just wanted to raise a point, because I believe there is no coincidence that now, after the UK elections, and actually for the situation in America to be rising for the elections as well in there, everyone starts to speak about education and how well educated Black people are. So I believe it's no, because we need to step up in power, and when the Blackness needs to step up in power, everything comes into an exclamation point or a question mark, right? Like, is he well educated enough? Will he represent us enough? So it's from both spectrums of the perspective. So for those who don't know me, but I need to rephrase this. I'm born Portuguese, but with African blood. So I did all my education in Portugal. And I lived across some other countries in Europe. Actually, I missed some gotkushTV episodes now, because I was in the transition to live. Now I live in Italy, where I was living in Bristol in the previous 10 years. Okay. And my point now, Chakra, is exactly that our brother, YouTuber as well, he started a new channel it's called Eli Wananda. I don't know if you know the brother.
Oh yeah, personally,
really personally. Oh
yes, sir,
my
yes,
God,
sir.
that so for me it's music to my ears, Sakura, because he raises exactly points regarding education and then how difficult it was. He African-born parents, and he was African-born, I believe, Eli, and he needed to mingle in the 80s with the other African Caribbeans who were that were already raised with their communities and educated through the English system. And he raised the point, Eli, regarding that the education, regardless how good education you can have as a African-born or African descendant from the continent, you will be always compared to not to the white part of the society, but to the Black Caribbean from the society in England. And he raised the spirit as well, the question about how, if the community still exists, because he said, being an African continent descendant or born, before 30, 40 years ago, everyone greet each other, regardless which place they were born. So you are a Black brother, I will salute you and I will respect you, especially with the elders and the younger generations. Everything was easier to mingle between our Blackness before. When now that spirit is broken. And then it's difficult for me to listen, jumping a little bit, but because I don't have much time, that's why. And the connection here is quite difficult, so I don't want to spoil the show as well. But Dr. Umar Johnson, from the other side of the continent, he raises the point that there will be more Black educated people voting for Republicans, because the Black educated people, the new generations, are money driven, status driven, career driven. So if both sides of Democrats or Republicans are and will carry on being racist, racist. It's better for me to look after my job, or it's better for me to look after my money, which they call the black bourgeoisies. And Brother Eli touched in a point that in UK, and I would love if there was a program that you could do this, Shakara and gotkushTV and Kimbunga Media, regarding this, how can we unite as a bloc so that we can have a participation, or a true participation in power? Because this following this new Secretary of Foreign Affairs, it's a shame. It's shameless for us, right? It's difficult for me, even born European-born, African blood descended, to accept. And it's not even the country where I was born, but it's the country where I pay my taxes for 10, 12 years. And I would wish for our blackness to be represented in a fair way, not with this whitewashing up the minds of the others. Especially now that I live in Italy, I can feel that these thematics, they don't get here. Black people that came from the boat and they were trashed, they are happy to be Italian. How can this be? It's a shame. So regardless the education, pointing at with our brothers in the chat, I think it's not a point of course, it's a fact. It's a factor. The education will be always a point of comparison between our blackness, but we should move as a bloc, and we should know how much our blackness would represent in whichever continent or country we are living in, or that we step up in. That's my contribution here. I don't know, it's food for your thoughts. I don't know if I raised some.
Oh, no, it's a very well thought out contribution, my brother. So thank you very much for sharing it. Raised some very important points.
Thank you, bro. I was present.
Yeah, give thanks, my brother, and as well, thank you for raising the name of our brother Eli. Wananda, he's a friend of the platform, and so to encourage everybody to subscribe to our brother Eli's platform and his Patreon. He also has a Patreon where he does exclusive content for
100%
Patreon community. Yeah, good brother. And just a quick point on the points that you've raised. This is why we have to be self-determining as a people, because when the system can define us and who and what we are, they can also define our interests. And a very obvious example of this is the fact that in the 90s and the 80s, when it came to black underachievement in the education system, it was just black underachievement. The distinction between black Caribbean and black African didn't exist. Yeah. What happened is in the early 2000s, this distinction started to be, experimented with, because they wanted to drum up this happy immigrant thing, right? And why they were able to do that is because in the 80s there were again a significant influx of African immigrants, specifically from Nigeria and middle class Nigeria at that. That was representative of what Eleri was referring to a minute ago in relation to the brain drain. Yeah. And so now they were coming through the education system, because they had come mostly in the 80s. Their education statistics were mature enough at that point for them to couch the issue as an issue of black African families having good family structures and good culture and going to church and teaching their children the Bible and sitting around the dinner table every Sunday, with the idea that black Caribbean families were not doing this. Yeah. And so the breakdown in black Caribbean family was a reflection effectively of migration had slowed down from the Caribbean from the 1970s through the 1980s, through the early 2000s, whereas migration from the continent had picked up, and specifically from the English-speaking West African continent. Yeah. So now what they did was redefine black designation in formal British documentation. And as I've mentioned already, people like Tony Sewell, were instrumental in fronting this agenda on behalf of the Conservative Party. So whereas when you had an official designation in British society as African Caribbean, what they began to realize is that that designation encouraged Africans from the continent and the Caribbean to see a oneness of interest, to see our interests as at least related to each other. Then now, once you separate and you disaggregate, the Black African can see her interests as separate and distinct from the Black Caribbean. And this all happens not because of a self-determined, designation, an organically developed one on the part of African people. It happens as a result of political maneuvers in the establishment to be able to reproduce statistics that are favorable to white power political interest, and that allow them to negate and sideline the issues that the Black community was waging and levying at the system in relation to education during the 80s and the 90s. Yeah, that's all that was taking place there.
I take your point of view. Yes, 100, Shakara. I understand now the formalities to push the wide agenda in order to classify the studies for different generations towards the difference between Black continent-born or immigration Black continent-born to the Caribbeans. No, I 100% resonate with that. I actually got the piece as well in the conversation why the new generations are happy, or the Black generations, the new ones, to identify themselves as British. Don't take me wrong. I know plenty of Black Portuguese that they dream to have a signature for Cristiano Ronaldo, or they die for the country, they die for Portugal. And I said one day on this forum that Portugal colonization is underrated, because if they knew what that country, the country that I was born, did for their families in the past, regardless their level of education, this would not happen as much. But that's a point that Ellery touched, and is very, very, very true. They didn't see the manifestations of the right or the far right, or whatever those white folks call themselves. They don't see this. It's a little bit more hypocrite. It's an hypocrite society that we're living in, and the values that we sustain they will be put in question in the future when they don't get the job that they wish, or they are not heard, or how they wish to be heard, or they don't get what they wish to get in job-wise, professional-wise, career-wise, money-wise, business opportunity-wise, credits, whatever. So that's why the movement of gotkushTV will be fantastic if we could jump into power and create a party, because
we'll get there, Rava. We'll get there.
I would love to be involved and part and support of you guys, and hopefully we can lay the foundations for that to happen, because it is inevitable that the only way to change the Blackness of the new generations is for us to raise the concern of their Blackness in each individual. First and above all, you are Black.
Yes, sir. Do you know the interesting thing, my brother? Just on the point about the immigrant thing, I'm minded that the same game is run in the United States of America. But what happens in the United States of America is that black Americans, as in those who have been born and raised in America and have family in America going back 100 years, right? Or maybe even just 50 years, yeah? They become the Black Caribbeans in the American context. and the black Caribbeans become the black Africans. Yeah. So in other words, the attainment levels of Africans from the Caribbean who are migrants to America becomes the happy immigrant, the progressing, succeeding immigrant narrative relative to Africans who are born and raised and have family roots in America. Yeah. And also, there's a significant number of African immigrants from the continent in America at the moment who are joining that. But prior to, it was mostly migrants from Jamaica and Haiti, you know what I'm saying, and Trinidad and the Dominican Republic, you know, who are the black immigrant class, yeah, in the United States of America. And so they used black Caribbeans. Yeah, so the same thing, you know, they got two parents in the home, and you know, they got church, right, and so on and so forth. So the point is that whereas those same people in British context become the people that have the bad culture and the disintegrating family, right, and so on and so forth, right. So it depends on where you are. They play these games, yeah, with the narrative. My brothers, I'm gonna wrap up the show now.
Thank you so much, Sakura.
I want to thank you both for coming through. My elder brother Kwesi, please join us tomorrow, my elder brother. I think you'll be very interested in our discourse on Kenya.
I will do.
Thank you, my brother. Take care, and thank you for coming through the show. Much appreciated. All right, I'm gonna put everybody in the back chat now as we wrap up the thing. You know what I'm saying? We give thanks and giving thanks for the vigorous conversation that is taking place in the chat right now. We appreciate of Uno. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate of Uno. Big up to all the people that have commented in the chat that I haven't been able to shout out as yet. There's been some good comments in the chat today, some good comments on the panel, so we appreciate all our Uno. For those who are just joining us, just to give a little overview of some of the topics that we covered today. You know, we began by reading the words of Nana Amos Wilson, which I shall repeat at this moment in time, because we are transitioning from gotkushTV to Kimbunga Media, and I want to have it in everybody's head the purpose for why we are developing this media institution. And we have to challenge, as Papa Garvey says, fight propaganda with propaganda. And so Nana Amos Wilson says the corporate elite owned and control media function to create a climate of opinion, to shape social perception by framing the reality and information which basically shapes the formation and expression of opinions. They do this mainly through setting the issue's agenda. That is, by controlling the, quote, domains of discourse, unquote. For example, determining what is worthy of public exposure and discussion. They choose what issues and information are to be emphasized, to be ignored, or suppressed. Consequently, they create visibility and legitimacy for certain persons and groups and opinions, and thereby impose limits on public knowledge, interest, discourse, understanding, behavioral orientation, and capability. Word sounds of Nana Amos Wilson as elucidated in the Blueprint for Black Power. And just to say, brothers and sisters, it is our job here to destroy the domains of discourse, to not be confined, to push beyond, to break the domains of discourse as prescribed for us by white power, and develop domains of our own without any apologies to the powers that be. That right is ours and God's, as the words of Marcus Garvey tell we, brothers and sisters. We also touched on the fact that so many of us in the UK now are supporting the England football team, which is not significant except for the fact that it was a point of order among black people in the UK that we did not do so for the most part. Yeah, those who did were in the extreme minority, and I'm kind of thinking that that trend, has shifted. That actually now the majority are big time England supporters. You know, it's happened, but you know, since the last World Cup until now, brothers and sisters. Not to say the World Cup before the last World Cup up until now is this shift seems to have taken place. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, serious thing I go on there. So we also talked about Trump and his shooting, and the fact that I made the people them know, say, listen, I am not saying that this was staged, yeah, but if I wanted to boost Donald Trump's standing in this election beyond reasonable doubt, I couldn't think of a better way to do so than to stage an assassination attempt. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then we were discussing this travesty of the black face of British imperialism, the black face of British neocolonialism being celebrated by us as progress within our standing in the nation of the United Kingdom of Great Britain. This, brothers and sisters, is not something to celebrate. No matter how happy David Lammy is with himself, this is not something to celebrate. And to be honest with you, I stopped taking David Lammy serious from him. That's where June Sarpong, you know what I mean? That's where June Sarpong. You can't make June Sarpong work. And can't take it seriously at all. You know what I mean? So the thing go. All right, brothers and sisters. So we were dealing with that, and then it went on to some other conversation. So we want to give thanks to those who have helped to guide the conversation as it has been for today. We want to remind you that tomorrow, we are going live to Kenya. For what's happening in Kenya, our brother William Sakawa will be joining us, brothers and sisters, to break it all the way down from 7 p.m. UK time to 10 p.m. UK time beginning, and that corresponds with 2 p.m. EST, brothers and sisters. Yeah, if for those of us who are across the water, we want to make the people them know. So the following day, on Near Day, Thursday, Near Day, Thursday, the 18th of July, our elder brother Cecil Gutsmore will be joining us to discuss the issue is revolutionary Pan-Africanism, the praxis for African liberation today. Our elder brother Cecil Gutsmore always comes through, with the magnificent knowledge, information, and wisdom. Food for thought, brothers and sisters. And this is going to be a very interesting one, partly because one of the key conferences at which revolutionary Pan-Africanism was defined was the 6th Pan-African Congress, which took place 50 years ago in the month of June, brothers and sisters. And so we're going to be looking at, I will certainly be asking Elder Cecil about that. Yeah, so do come through not tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, Thursday, for that conversation. Want to let you know about the Messiah opening ceremony, brothers and sisters, which is taking place on the 4th. On Monday, the 4th of Messiah August, I have the honor of delivering the keynote address. Kimbunga, look for me in the whirlwind. If you have not experienced the Messiah opening ceremony before, I encourage you to come through and experience it. It's a powerful occasion. And so, come through, brothers and sisters. Bring your family, bring your son, your daughter, your mama, your papa, your auntie, your uncle to the Messiah opening ceremony on the 4th. And we are going to be taking over Brixton. We're going to be taking over Brixton on the Prophet's birthday on the 17th of Messiah August. It is Drums of Messiah from 5 p.m. in Windrush Square in Brixton, brothers and sisters. Come through, bring your drum, bring your agogo, bring your shekere. You must bring the shekere. We have plenty shekere in the place. Shekere after shake. Shekere to the world. Bring your agogo, bring your mbida, bring your balafon, bring your dancing feet, bring your singing voices, brothers and sisters. Bring everything. Come. If you have a trumpet or a saxophone, you can bring that too. We're going to take over Brixton in the name of Messiah for a few hours, brothers and sisters. Yes, indeed. And with that, all that is left for me to do is thank you all once again for coming through, brothers and sisters, and joining us for this edition of Zivanai. Make we talk. Once again, do join us tomorrow from the hour of 7 p.m. UK time for what's happening in Kenya. And with that, I say unto thee, Tendai Mwali, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Mudzima Mokoro. We give praises unto our great ancestors. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. New era, new transition. Greetings, this is Shakara, and it's been an honor serving you as director of gotkushTV. Over the past few years, we've brought you the pilot of the Black Root Economic Show, many seasons of Wordsmith, The Insight, and the ever-popular Decipher. We have covered community events and even hosted a few of our own, including Blacktricity, as a part of the official Ghana Beyond the Return roster. We also kept you company throughout lockdown with the Quarantine Convo. After a brief hiatus, we came back with our regular weekly interactive live show, Zivanai, keeping you up to date with current events around the Black world, from UK to Senegal to Haiti and beyond. It is our aim to continue to develop as a premier Black media institution, and for that reason, we have a special announcement. Introducing Kimbunga Media. Between the 10th of June and the 17th of Mosiah, August, we will be transitioning to a new name and institution, Kimbunga Media. In the beautiful Kiswahili language, Kimbunga means whirlwind.
Look for me in a whirlwind or a storm. Look for me all around you. For with God's grace, I shall come back with countless millions of black men and women who have died in America, those who have died in the West Indies, and those who have died in Africa, to aid you in the fight for liberty, freedom, and life.
Our name symbolizes our aim to take the media landscape by storm, developing high quality, impactful, geopolitical and cultural content aimed at empowering African people, bringing knowledge, information, inspiration and analysis from an unapologetically Pan-African, universal African nationalist and African-centered perspective. So, what can you expect? We are gradually developing a full spectrum of flagship shows and presenters, but in the immediate right here now, over the next couple of years, we have two major aims in bringing you our flagship shows. One, the return of Kush Communiversity, bringing you high-level scholarship in all areas of people activity, featuring luminaries from across the Black world. And two, the production of the full first season of the new and improved Ujamaa Black Root Economic Show. While we encourage you to develop and support Black businesses, this show aims to raise our awareness of the political economy of today's world and popularize new solution paradigms in political economy among African people. Alongside all this, we will continue to bring you Zivanai, Jaliba, the Afrocentric perspective, All Eyes on Africa, Ghana, Democracy Under Fire, the Revolutionary Minds team with that artistic, ancestral energy, and as things grow and develop, there'll be plenty more. We also have plans to host live events and film screenings, so stay tuned for more information on that. So what can you do? Continue to support us by watching, liking, sharing and commenting on our content. Be sure to follow us on all social media, and if you are so moved, join our Patreon community. We'll be sharing flagship shows exclusively with our Patreon community before general release and granting you discounts to events and future screenings. Right now, if you become a Patreon, you will have access to the pilot for the Black Group Economic Show and all installments of last year's Black History Month series, Sankofa, The Future of Black History. At some point, we'll be engaging in community crowdfunding towards the production of the new and improved Ujamaa Black Group Economic Show, complete with offerings and perks for those who choose to invest in us. Look out for the launch, and we thank you in advance for your support. Any questions, feel free to hit us up in the comment section and we'll be sure to address. We look forward to you joining us for this new phase of our development. Stay tuned as we bring you Kimbunga Media.
Black people, we've got to fight. John Petro, you see us. Oguo, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Zumbi, you see us. Oguo, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Yes, Santa, why you see us? Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh, Black people, we've got to fight. Bookman, you see us. Oh, we've got to fight. Let's go fight. Oh,
we have to have the courage to construct our own reality. And that's what Garvey was talking about. Because he said he looked around, he didn't see what he thought should be there, and so what did he do? He didn't get depressed about it. He didn't get defeated about it. He said, I'm gonna build the government that we need to have. Ooh, where do you get that kind of boldness from? So we gotta go all the way back to Garvey, who said he would come again. He said he would be here with us, no matter how long it took. And I'm telling you that the way he comes back is in our work. Not honoring him in words, pomp, and all of that stuff, but honoring him through doing what he did. How many of us have the courage to do that? The man took on the world for us and in our name. And then we come to Sodai. And in this presentation of the paradigm, I'm going to make this like what it is we want to reach. So Sodai is translated clear word in Dogana language. And I use it to mean that here we gain understanding. This is sight with understanding. And it is seeing beyond what just we think we see with this physical thing. It's seeing beyond that. And so we gain vision, because that's what vision is. With vision, you've got to be able to use the imagination informed by the African spirit. And Brother Amos, who I work very closely with, was a good friend of mine. He taught me, and he would talk about imagination. Image a nation. Do you see? But that's got to be part of vision. To be a visionary, you got to see beyond this box here. You got to see beyond the ma'afa. You got to see what is it that our people rightfully should have, and that's what Garvey did. Garvey had a vision.